Welcome to Big Blend Radio, where we celebrate variety and how it adds spice to quality of life.
I sent pictures to my sister. I sent pictures of the campground. I sent a couple pictures of the camper. She wrote back, "You lost your mind."
I got false teeth. I ain't flossing.
Well, we've been here for 21 years. And I'm sick that they're going to tear this place down, and every place in here, everybody's sick.
Did you ask the girls for water or something?
Put beer in there. You got it?
We've met such nice people. Oh my gosh, that's going to be the hard part.
Hey, brother!
Hey, everybody, welcome. Today, we're excited to have filmmaker Amy Nicholson join us to talk about her new documentary. It's called Happy Campers. And isn't that what we all want to be, happy campers? But what happens if you have a happy camping place and then the developers want to come in and take it away, and they do? So the documentary comes out on VOD, video on demand, September 10th in America, North America, United States, and Canada. So welcome, Amy. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, I know. So this is going through the theater openings in LA, New York, and then it's going to be out so people can watch it at home, which is awesome. I watched this, and I hate to tell you, but you did make me like shed tears.
Oh,
Am I allowed
well.
to tell people that?
Yeah, you're
Get
allowed.
me.
You're allowed. It does
Yeah.
have a melancholy side to it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's funny. It's very funny for a lot of it, and then it does take a little bit of a turn.
Yeah, because one man, and this. Let's give everyone a little overview. You do it without too many spoilers. In regards to, here's this, wonderful, happy camping spot, and pretty much it's not ritzy, but everybody makes do, and that's the funky fun about it, I think. And I think you've just done an amazing job of showing what we really need as human beings for
Right.
happiness.
Well, I mean, that I learned from the people there. So I describe Inlet View, which is the community that I filmed, as the working man's Hamptons.
Mm.
It was right on the water. It was beautiful. There were cocktail parties and, summer activities, and it was just as unspoiled and fabulous, except you didn't need a mansion. You could just live in a little RV and have yourself a little spot, and it was really very, very special. And I was lucky enough to stumble onto it because I was out taking pictures one day, actually in the winter. My dad lives down in that part of Maryland, Virginia, and
Okay, yeah.
yeah, so I wandered in there taking pictures, and I, was kind of chuckling because the campers are, some of them look like they did when they were being pulled behind a car, but most of them haven't moved in decades. And people add on and they put decorations and kitschy signs and stuff. It's great. And I thought, wow, these are the original tiny houses. And
Yeah.
yeah, and so I just went back maybe a decade later. I don't know what kept drawing me in there, but it has a magnet. There's a magnet in
Yeah.
that property somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and you went in and interviewed all these different people living there who come from all over the country, and they all have a tie, and it seems like it was a generational tie for a lot
Yes,
of people, and they had magnets that just kept drawing them there, even if they couldn't buy the trailer. At the one point, there was a couple ladies there that wanted it, then couldn't have it, and then all of a sudden, yeah, you can have the whole thing, including the furniture.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's how most people found the place, was through family, or a grandpa took them when they were kids, or some people had been there. There was one lady, I think she was the longest, and she had been going for 49 years. So
Wow.
she grew up there as a child, and then she took her child there. Yeah, so there were deep roots in that place.
It wasn't fancy at all, but it was a sense of community that I think is so important. And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't fancy, but these people, they made things fun. And I think it was just down to earth, salt of the earth people. And I mean, I thought the one guy was funny as he called it the armpit of America, yet like later he's like in tears. So
Those were my neighbors, Mary and Chris. They lived right on the other side of me, and they had a big peace sign on the side of their camper, which I just loved. And they were really very much salt of the earth, and had a great sense. I think everybody there had a great sense of humor, because the place was a little rough around the edges. I mean, the owners had gotten older, and maybe there were some things that needed to be fixed, but I think everybody there had the insight to know that the people make the place.
yeah.
So, they really, people were like, ah, yeah, we got a few potholes in the road. There might be some feral cats. Not so sure what's happening with the septic, but boy, we have each other, and how fun
Yeah.
that.
And they just like, seem to get together and have big potlucks and barbecues and whatever
Yeah.
they're doing with crabs. I have no idea what they're doing with them, but I don't eat fish. I'm allergic to it. So I'm like, they're doing
Oh,
something
okay.
with
Well, I'm
crabs.
from Maryland, so what you do is you sit and you pick these blue crabs, which are not big. They're not the big giant ones you see on, Most Dangerous Catch. And the meat is amazing, but it is an art form to get it out. So that's
Ah,
what they're
that's
doing.
what it, okay. Cause I'm like, look at that. But so everybody's
Yeah.
having a good time. But I just think like the sunsets and things like that, you can't beat that. That's like $1 million view, right? But I think it was at the end, it was really about humans. And it shows the ripple effect of humanity where someone may go by there and like kind of look down on them. And yet here are these people just being totally genuine, totally authentic, totally connected as community and humans and friends, where you don't have these it was they're just so real. And I think nowadays, I mean, it's like, how many cars do we need? Do we have to have the, newest Louis Vuitton bag or whatever? I don't even pronounce it right. I don't care. But you know what I mean? It's that. And I think that ripple effect of one action and how that hurt so many people too. I mean, it doesn't sound like, oh, they lost their camping spot. No, this is far more, and it's a sense of community. And they came from everywhere. So it's not like, oh, we're just all going to go back to one state or our neighborhood. They
That's
they
right.
lost their
And
neighborhood actually.
yes, they lost their neighborhood. And me as well. I mean, I was in there.
Yeah.
I have often said I would give the film back. You can have the film. I would
Yeah.
like the place back, you know.
Yeah.
So spoiler alert for, for people
Yeah.
who haven't seen it, but I am pretty open about it. It's a chronicle of the final summer there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I think that's what I hope people take away from the film is, what do I really need? And I filmed this in 2019. So it was right
Okay.
before the pandemic hit. And then like everybody else, I came back to New York, and we all got locked in, and for 2 years everybody had nothing to do but think about what's really important.
Mm.
And we've kind of gone right back to, ordering from DoorDash, and, buying a million things online. And I, during the time that I had to edit the film and to really think about it, I thought a lot personally about what mattered to me. And I just thought, wow, I have never been happier than I was there.
Mm.
Even just as a person, not as a filmmaker, just as a person hanging out in the world. That was I've never felt more comfortable. There were nobody cared what I did for a living. They were like, oh, as long as you're making a living, and if you're not, if you're broke, we'll help you out. I mean, that is really, that was the crux of the place, you know, it was kind of woven in there. And another thing you said that I loved was, you know, that there were people who looked down on it. And, you know, they would make jokes and say, oh yeah, they call us all white trash, you know. It's like, and I know that has some that expression has some deeper, heavier meaning now, you know, in the political climate that we're in. But for the most part, you know, they were like, yeah, let them think whatever they want, because we have figured
Know
it
who
out.
we are.
Yeah,
We're happy, and who cares?
that's right.
Well, it's
That's
a
right.
simplistic living, right? And so, but they're there. They are living a portion of their year
Mhm.
there, like a
Oh
season.
yeah, some lived full time, not many, but some. And there were a lot of retirees, like
Mm.
a lady that lived just down from me, Anna. Her husband had passed away. She's in the film, and she says when he passed away, I didn't think I could come back. But she got brave enough because she didn't like to drive over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge.
I know.
Yeah,
No, you can
he
take
had
your
a thing
bridge
for
and,
bridges.
no.
Yeah, so she would come in the spring, like early spring, like before Easter, and she would stay until late November.
Oh, wow.
And that was her life. And she said, I spend all winter looking forward to seeing my friends again. And
Mm,
it changed the portion of her life that she lived without her husband. It really changed. I mean,
mm,
really, I think she thought I've never had a better time. You know, she had so much fun there because it was so relaxed. And if she said to someone, look, I'm on a really tight budget, and she would say, I would ask her, like, hey, Anne, I'm going to the store. Do you need anything? And she would say, buy this bread. It's 85 cents. I would say, Anna, you don't need to give me 85 cents. I'll get your bread. I'll bring it back.
yeah.
Very honest about, you know, that she was really on a fixed income and she needed to stretch it, but it also didn't make her, because she knew the things that were important to her there were, you know, enjoying the outdoors, enjoying the nature that was there, the
Mm,
sunsets, all of it. Having friends that she could really count on, being in a community where if something happened, you know, your friends would be there with you. One night she had trouble breathing and 3 people got in the ambulance with her, you know, so
wow.
I think that, yeah, she knew that her life was so much better there.
Wow. And it kind of reminds me of how I was raised, in the last years of my high school. We all kind of lived in this village, and as kids, we thought we got away with things, but everybody knew, like the parents knew what the kids
Right.
were up, right? So everybody, we always got caught, but we had a village. And as we graduated high school, we had all moved into each other's houses so that we were away from our parents and getting our legs, our wobbly legs, so everybody had turns taking care of us. It was funny, but it kind of reminded me of that, this multi-generational thing where, if we had a party at our house, all my friends would come and their parents, all ages, everyone was there. And that was how we lived. And so when I saw this, I don't feel that much like that in this country until
Yeah.
I watched that. It kind of reminded me of that village, which is so crucial and crucial for kids to have that idea. And it is normal for it to have to go away, unfortunately, which sucks. But
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I don't ever want to sound like an old geezer and rail against social uh,
mhm,
or the way we live now, because I mean, without
the
all the
way we
tools,
are.
I would never be able to make a film,
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, so it's a blessing. I can talk to you and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
that part is a blessing, but it does change things. And I was struck that I never saw anyone use a phone there unless Anna would call the same woman, Anna, she would call her neighbors because she had bad knees. So rather than go
Okay.
2 yards over, she would call. Um, and then there was another woman, Diane, who was also her best friend, who lived on the like two doors down from her, that she would use her phone to play DJ at the
Oh,
parties. But you really didn't see people doing this. Nobody was looking down at
that's
their phone.
amazing, right?
People would turn on the radio. they would yell at me for turning off the radio because, I was trying to record sound. But they would turn on the radio and they would just hang out and tell the same stories they've heard a million times and laugh about nothing. And
That's
it was
awesome.
nice to take
That's
that
awesome.
time. And I think that's the thing that we don't have now is everything's been so squished and, everything has to be maximized. And, when you went in there, you just did whatever. There was no time. Time stood still in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope everyone goes and sees it. It's going to be out again, everyone. A video on demand in US and Canada starting September 10th. So watch for that at home. And thank you so much for joining us. And most importantly, thanks for the movie. I think the ripple effect and closing on this is think about all communities that are being torn up for fancy homes going in. You've got to think there was a village there at some point, and it goes through. So just a thought in watching this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been great.
Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio. Keep up with our shows at bigblendradio.com.